In the present day, researchers in the Arctic Circle uncover the wreckage of a large wing-shaped aircraft. Inside, 2 researchers find a frozen circular object with red, white, and blue coloring encased in ice. In March 1942, Hydra forces led by Johann Schmidt invade a stone church in Norway, seeking the Tesseract, a cosmic artifact with untold power. Schmidt kills the church keeper and everyone in the village. At a Brooklyn recruiting station, Steve Rogers, a 5-foot-tall, 90-pound asthmatic in his 20s, tries to enlist. The army doctor rejects him as 4F. It is his 4th failed attempt. Depressed, Steve goes to a war bond rally with his friend Bucky Barnes. Howard Stark demonstrates a flying car and fails. Steve leaves for another recruiting station. Bucky follows and asks how Steve will forge his application this time. Dr. Abraham Erskine overhears and is fascinated by Steve's gumption. Steve goes in for his 5th physical. Erskine has Steve's prior applications. He asks if Steve just wants to kill Nazis. Steve says he does not like bullies, no matter where they come from, and is not a killer. Erskine reveals he is German. Steve shows no concern. Erskine enlists Steve for Project Rebirth, a super soldier experiment supervised by the Strategic Scientific Reserve. Phillips doubts Erskine's choice but relents after Steve shows self-sacrificing bravery. The night before the procedure, Erskine tells Steve that Schmidt took an imperfect version of the serum and was corrupted by ambition. Erskine chose Steve because Steve is a good man who was weak his whole life and will respect the strength he gains. In the Alps, Schmidt brings the Tesseract to Dr. Zola. His power fuels unstoppable weapons. Schmidt sends an assassin to kill Erskine. Peggy Carter and Steve go to a secret bunker. Erskine, Stark, and Phillips prepare the procedure. Steve sits in the capsule. Serum is injected, and Vita rays are applied. Steve endures pain but emerges taller, heavier, and at peak human potential. Everyone celebrates. One attendee, Heinz Kruger, Schmidt's assassin, plants a satchel. The gallery explodes. Kruger shoots Erskine, grabs the last serum vial, and flees. Steve chases him. The vial breaks and Kruger takes cyanide. With Erskine dead and the formula lost, the SSR must fight Hydra. Phillips wants to study Steve. Senator Brandt offers Steve a USO tour to sell war bonds. Steve accepts, performing as Captain America. He grows weary of being paraded around. Schmidt shows his Tesseract weapons to 3 Nazi officers. They mock him, calling him Red Skull. He kills them and declares Hydra independent from the Nazis. In November 1943, Steve learns Bucky's unit was lost to Hydra. He mounts a solo rescue with help from Carter and Stark. Steve parachutes into the Hydra base, frees prisoners, and finds Bucky, who has been tortured. Steve memorizes a tactical map. Schmidt sets the factory to self-destruct. Schmidt confronts Steve on a catwalk, removes his mask, and reveals his Red Skull face. Schmidt escapes. Steve and Bucky cross a burning chasm and escape. Steve gains rank and leads the Howling Commandos against Hydra. In 1945, they assault a train carrying Zola. Bucky falls from the train into an icy river and is presumed dead. Steve captures Zola. Devastated, Steve decides to end Hydra. Using Zola's information, Steve locates the final Hydra base. He charges in and is captured. Schmidt asks what makes Steve special. Steve replies, "Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn." Steve's team attacks. Schmidt flees to a massive flying wing powered by the Tesseract. Steve boards. He and Schmidt fight. Schmidt fires the Tesseract at Steve. Steve deflects a shot into the Tesseract. Schmidt grabs it, opens a wormhole, and is sucked into space. The cube falls into the ocean. Steve crashes the plane in the Arctic, telling Carter he cannot keep their dance date. Stark recovers the Tesseract, but not Steve's body or the plane. Steve wakes in a 1940s style room. He runs outside into present-day Times Square. Nick Fury tells him he has been asleep for nearly 70 years. Steve says, "I had a date." A year later, Fury proposes a mission with worldwide ramifications.